Today's video is sponsored by Camel City Mill Work Socks. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake. Today came out to a pretty chilly morning. It was like 31 degrees, 32 degrees, hovering right around freezing. So I got some equipment warming up in the background here, the excavator, the Eastonmade, and the mini skid steer. I have quite a bit of big, nasty, gnarly wood over here. I've been waiting to take a load over to my buddies with the International Hook Lift truck. We had a bunch of nice firewood rounds cut up. We're finally getting to the end of that, and we're just left with all of the offcuts and stuff that, you know, we generated from that big pile of rounds. And I need to get everything kind of cleaned up today. It's a Sunday. It's a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. I got a couple hours this morning, so we're going to see what we can get cleaned up around the wood yard. All right, this is gonna be all the stuff that I will be getting rid of over at my buddies with the boiler. And this is the stuff that I decided I will try and split up the rest. You know, it should make somewhat decent firewood. Some of these rounds are kind of big, but we'll set them through the box wedge and should probably be able to fill up these two totes. Okay, just got done splitting up the rest of those chunks. These couple I'm not gonna bother with. That one has a big knot and it gets really skinny on the other side. But we this is what we got. I just noticed that it knocked out one of my grates here to fill in the cutout on the IBC tote. It's actually, believe it or not, never happened before. Wood must have just kind of worked its way in there in the gap in between the two totes and knocked it free. See, this one still holding strong. Got some pieces on the ground we got to pick up, but all in all, ended up making some decent firewood. Not the prettiest firewood, but you know, puts off heat, so that's all that matters. Found this little salamander underneath where one of the scrap totes was under the splitter. Pretty cool spotted salamander. Must be freezing. I'm gonna go put him out in the sun somewhere. Sarah and I just got back from a little lunch, went out, got some sandwiches over at Jersey Mike's. It's one of our favorite spots to hit up. Before I left, I swapped out for the 36-inch smooth edge bucket. I think that'll make scraping this whole area with all the sawdust and everything a lot easier. There's some low spots I'd like to get filled in, so I think that will be the best tool for this job. All right, excavator made quick work of that. Kind of scraped up all the scraps and sawdust and stuff for the most part into a pile here. This trailer is getting pretty full of scrap, as you guys saw before. So my plan is I'll probably dump this upcoming week once I unload the full tote that's underneath the grizzly bars with that scrap. I got to dump that scrap in that trailer. Then I'll pull it out with the truck, and as I'm pulling it out, I'll stop here and scoop all this into the dump trailer. You know, that way I can get rid of it as well at the spot where I dump it all. This looks pretty good. Things were getting a little, you know, jumbled up here. I really need to get rid of this wood, but my buddy's not ready for it quite yet. And some of these bigger chunks he wants broken down smaller, so I'm hoping that we can get those dealt with or find a new spot to bring them that, you know, will take bigger, gnarly logs like that I'm not interested in processing for firewood. I have had this blower for years and years. This was the first backpack blower I ever bought way back when, like in high school. 580 BFS, Husqvarna. This thing starts up like first, second pull every time. Well guys, we are back the next day, and for those of you who have been watching the channel for a while, you might recognize this place. This is the home of welder Chris, or at least the home of his shop. And I've brought the Baumalight mini skid steer up here today because I need his help. You might remember a couple videos back I discussed that this machine has a, what I would probably call like a medium size hydraulic leak coming from somewhere on the very bottom end of the machine. You can see I just parked it here. It's already starting to drip down. You can see the whole belly of the machine is caked with hydraulic oil and dirt and stuff. It's all pooling up here. But the weird thing is, when you actually go in and look at the, you know, the pumps and all the hydraulic fittings behind here, and the main pump to the machine is up here in the front, it's all dry. So I think this one's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. It might be a hydraulic line or something all the way on the bottom of the machine. There are 4 hydraulic lines that run to power the sprockets here. There are 2 hydraulic motors behind this panel. You can see one right there and one over there. All the couplers and fittings and stuff, the connections are all dry, which leads me to believe that there might be some sort of small pinhole or something in one of the lines leading to it, because those are the only lines that run all the way on the bottom of the machine. So hopefully he will get to the bottom of it. He has a lot better infrastructure here in, you know, a shop and stuff to take care of it. And hopefully while he's taking care of it, I can be splitting firewood and making money to help pay him. So guys, I kind of feel like an idiot. After about 5-10 minutes of looking over the machine, most of which was spent taking off the covers and various panels and stuff here, Chris and his buddy pretty quickly determined that it is leaking from the input shaft seal, i.e. where the motor, you know, shaft goes into the hydraulic pump. It's leaking from that seal, and then they think it's kind of overflowing back into the bell housing of the motor or the shaft or something. I'm not too familiar with it, but it just goes to prove that I'm glad I brought it up here, because all of that sounds a lot more complicated than just changing a hydraulic hose like I initially thought I might have to. So right now I'm in the talks with Baumalight, because again, this isn't my machine. I want to see what they want me to do, if they want me to send it back to them, if they want me to fix it on my own dime, or what the deal is. But not everything is rainbows and unicorns when you get a machine for advertising purposes on YouTube.
I don't know. We get so much of this. Is it worth my time to separate it? No. But do I feel bad throwing it out? Yeah, because like I could burn this in the house, but I don't need a whole trailer load of it. Would you burn it?
No.
Right? It's not worth our time.
It's nice in the wintertime when we're trying to stay warm out here,
right,
but it's not worth bringing all this into the house,
Yeah,
it's burning in the wood stove or in the fireplace.
You know there's going to be people in the comments that say, oh, you're throwing all that out. That's good kindling. What? I have cords of kindling in totes, stacked. Nobody has ever asked for kindling. I think I've sold like 5 kindling bundles total, ever. Now, I don't advertise it, but could I? Yeah, sure. Then I would have to hold on to all this stuff. It's easier to just dump it. Faster, more productive. But I will save this. It's good oak.
That's a whole bundle right
That's
there.
a whole bundle. That's $5 right there. We just saved. Swapping out the box for the 6-way. That's where I bring in the big guns.
I don't know.
It's a little,
maybe not anymore.
It's a little tight. We need Shibe over here.
No, not anymore.
Nope.
Lost my strength.
It's probably the skinny jeans are cutting off your circulation.
Could be.
Yeah, look at how tight those puppies are. All right, we got the 6-way in place. By using the wedge lift, you can get it in and then, you know, it prevent it from dropping all the way down. Chris is gonna lower it nice and slow. And boom, we're engaged. And now we got the 6-way in. All right, guys, we are back a couple days later. Chris is here in the wood yard. As you saw in the beginning of the video, I did some cleanup here around the wood yard. Got everything, you know, back orderly except for this pile. Still waiting on my buddy to take that load. We just put in the 6-way wedge, swapped it out for the wedge that we use about like 98% of the time, I'd say. The 7-way pizza box wedge. That is the smallest spacing of a box wedge that Eastonmade makes. I also have the standard 7-way, you know, wedge over there, so you can see the spacing's a little tighter on the pizza wedge. Now, the reason we're doing this is because you guys might have remembered a couple months back, I got a log truck load of really nice firewood poles, all very consistent diameter, smaller diameter. I would say there's nothing, I'm looking at it right now, and so are you, and there is nothing really in this section of the log pile that's really over like 20-inch diameter. And I'd say for the most part, I'd say about 80% of the wood in the log pile, you know, entirely is probably under 20 inches in diameter. But you can see all these poles are really nice, straight, they're cracking on the ends, and I bought this for this time. You can see the wood yard back behind the tractor and the log pile is very empty back there. All that wood over there is for next year, and all of this where my truck is parked is very empty. This road, very empty. All that wood down there is for myself and the firewood stand to keep that stocked. So I bought this, you know, load of logs anticipating that we would be empty, and hopefully the consistency and the size of wood and the fact that we can just push these smaller diameter rounds through in one shot with the 6-way wedge, for the most part, it should really speed things up, and we should be able to fly through this load and kind of get a jump start on our inventory, you know, for replenishing our inventory. So that's why I did this big cleanup. That's why we just swapped out the wedges, because really with small stuff like this, the box wedge takes longer because you got to cycle it through several times. Bigger stuff, it definitely saves time.
Bigger stuff, it makes a lot more sense just because you don't have to handle the wood as much.
Right.
When it comes down to these smaller diameter pieces, you wind up handling the wood more with the box
with the albeit you're not actually using your hands to like handle it, you're cycling it more times. So this smaller stuff, I think that the 6-way wedge, which we really haven't used all that much, we've basically only used the box wedge. That's how much we like it. But as our, you know, wood suppliers start to really hone in on what I want, and I can be a little bit more picky, we're starting to get really nice stuff, and that 6-way wedge might
be used more often here than not to get rid of the rest of this pile. So, all right, guys, as I said in the beginning of today's video, it is sponsored by Camel City Mill Work Socks, and I'd like to give them a big shout out and thank them for sponsoring today's video. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that Camel City Mill has been a sponsor now for the past couple months, and I gotta say, I really like their work socks. I'm literally wearing them right now. I search in the hamper, the clean laundry, for them every morning because I don't want to wear my old, hole-filled, cotton socks. When I initially, and I'm going to be brutally honest here, and I don't know if Chris even knows this, but when I initially signed up to work with Camel City Mill, I asked them to send me some socks and you some socks.
You did.
I did. I asked for large and XL because my foot size happens to overlap a little bit.
Convenient.
Chris has never gotten any of those socks.
Not a single pair.
I'm going to be brutally honest. He is still wearing old cotton socks. Are your feet sweaty right now?
My feet are very sweaty.
Because mine are not.
And my socks have been falling down in my boot all day long.
Well, that's one thing that will not happen if you get yourself a pair of Camel City Mill socks. Camel City Mill socks are made out of merino wool. They have a 10-year guarantee, and above all else, they are made in America. It's awesome. They're really good socks, high quality. It's not just straight pieces of wool. They have like this DNA helix thing going on where they're woven and stronger. I don't know, it's way above my pay grade, but what I do know is that my feet have stayed dry and comfortable for months on end now through all the heat of the summer, and Chris's have not. No. So Camel City Mill, if you're watching, he needs some socks. You guys, if you're watching, you need some socks if you do stuff like we do where you're on your feet all day. Check the link in the description down below for a special coupon promo code. I don't know exactly what it is. They kind of change it up sometimes, but be sure to head over to Camel City Mill. Again, thank you so much for sponsoring today's video, and get Chris a pair.
Please
or
do.
two, and I'd even take some more. Back to the video. Okay guys, so Chris is standing next to the 2 baskets of firewood that we just produced. We started at 5:10 and we ended 5 minutes ago at 5:40 on the dot. So that took us a half an hour to make those 2 baskets. Now one is a small basket, one is a large basket, but as you can see, they're all heaped up, you know, and it's really nice wood. Now Chris and I have not talked about how that little splitting session went, because I think we're both going to have some, I don't know, things to say about it, because we haven't used that 6-way wedge in a while. But I wanted to show you those totes of wood, and I want to show you one other thing. As you can see, this is the amount of scrap that we collected off the grizzly bars. This is the amount of scrap off the bottom of the conveyor. And this is the amount of scrap off the actual splitting area. And mind you, most of this is bark that fell off from the maple and hickory. Now that was maple, hickory, and oak that we were just splitting there. So now I want to take some time and talk to Chris. What did you think about that?
I think that the smaller diameter, the very small stuff we were splitting, like the 6 to 8 inch, was great for this box, or for this 6-way wedge. All the other stuff, I felt like we were really over handling it almost to a point where we should have just left the box wedge in. For my burn, your burn, I think this was the perfect wedge for that, but the clientele that we have and that we sell firewood to, they don't like these larger pieces that we like to put in the stove. So having to cycle everything through again, you know, maybe if we had a 12-way wedge rather than a 6-way, that'd be different. But I think the box wedge is still the undefeated champ here in the wood yard.
You took the words literally right out of my mouth. I don't have anything else to add to that. I think the exact same thing. I think this size wood over here is the perfect size for those people that are, you know, heating with wood. This is good wood stove size wood. This is not wood boiler wood. This is the size wood that we go after, that my clients want, that our clients want. And stuff like this, albeit it burns, and yeah, you could call it an all-nighter, I'd say the majority of the wood that just came out of there is on the larger side for our clientele. And I think you're also right that like an 8-way probably wouldn't even do it. I think it would need to be like a 12-way or a 16-way wedge to cut out that re-splitting. And as the one that was operating the splitter, there were several moments there where I felt I could have easily lost a finger or a hand. And it's nothing to do with the machine. It's just the way that we are used to splitting the box wedge. You don't have to touch that piece except to rotate it if it's too big. But with this 6-way wedge and these smaller rounds, they're just too big to where you want to resplit it again. So you're reaching in, you're repositioning, you're centering the piece in the log, you know, trough there that the Eastonmades have, which again is just catered to larger wood. So a 12-way or a 16-way, if you guys got one of those from Eastonmade on a 2228 or a 37D or something, please drop me a comment down below. Shoot me an email, duderanchdiy1@gmail.com, with some pictures of, you know, the size splits. But albeit this stuff, like Chris said, is perfect for him and I burning in the wood stove, it's not what our clients want. What do you say something?
I would love to know how your socks are holding up, because mine are at the balls of my feet.
Are they? They're all scrunched down?
All the way scrunched down.
Do you want to see how my socks are doing?
Yeah, let's see it.
I haven't touched my socks, guys, all day. Now, granted, I am wearing Ariat boots. We will see. Okay, they're down a little bit, but look, that's how much they go up. Made in America, baby. Fight, fight, fight. Go out and vote. That has nothing to do with this video, but I thought I would say it. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I think we're gonna be going back to the box wedge.
I think we should too. A lot of the stuff that we were splitting today we typically don't bring back to the wood yard. Like Jake said earlier in the video, this was a log truck load that he purchased. But this diameter stuff, we typically just send right through the chipper.
Through the chipper, right.
Because it's so much easier to handle it as wood chips than it is to handle it as wood coming off the job site for us.
Yeah, and although that might frustrate a lot of you guys, oh, why would you send that perfect stuff through? Guys, when you have a chipper that takes 16-inch diameter wood, I mean, we're not feeding it 16 all day, but I'd say we feed it 12 to 14 pretty regularly because it's a lot cheaper, if not free, to get rid of the wood chips. Granted, it's free for me to bring the logs back, but you can fit a lot more wood chips in the truck than you can logs. So as arborists, you know, we and firewood guys, we understand that people don't like to see that stuff go to waste, but it's not going to waste at the end of the day. So I think for this stuff, we're just back to the pizza wedge, and I think although this made a lot less scrap, because these poles are so nice and straight and fairly crotchless, I think that it in turn, even running it through the box wedge, will create less scrap than some of this big gnarly stuff that we're used to sending through. And not to mention, it'll make really nice firewood. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. I think we just learned a lesson because, like I said, we've only used that 6-way wedge a handful of times, you know, pretty much in the very beginning. And we found the pizza box wedge, and we were like, this is the ticket. And we can deal with the scrap as we showed you earlier in the video. But what does take time is resplitting all those pieces. And, you know, again, if you have a 12-way or a 16-way or whatever they put on these Eastonmades, drop a comment down below, shoot me an email, let me know how it works for you, because we do have quite a bit of this smaller diameter stuff. And if we could invest in a wedge that we could just push it all through, you know, one of those like honeycomb wedges with like the boxes in it, I think that would work better than this 6-way where it splays out and you just get, you know, really big fat triangles that have to be split, you know, again, once or twice. So as always, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, drop a comment down below. But for now, I'm Jake.
And I'm Chris.
This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you here next time. Don't forget, go check out CamelCityMill.com for awesome work socks.